Good morning, everyone. It's Chris and John with Draft for Upside. First sip, 10:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, getting you ready for DFS football, getting you ready for start-sit questions answered, getting you ready for total ridiculousness about to come out of my mouth for the next hour. Are you ready for that, Chris?
I'm ready. I've changed a lot of opinions. I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
You've changed a lot of your opinions, or you've changed a lot of other people's opinions?
All of the above.
Did you change my opinions?
No, I probably didn't.
Very unlikely, my friend. I'm not going to lie. So sadly, Dr. Roto will not be joining us this morning. Well, sadly for us. More importantly for him, his kid upset the number one seed in the tennis tournament down there in Florida and gets to play in the semifinals this morning. So good luck to little Mr. Roto. Good luck to him. But I think that you and I will be fine. We'll manage to get through this hour just fine. Just want everybody to know this is our first broadcast on our new affiliation with Notoriety Sports Network. Please make sure you are giving them a follow on Facebook and go check out their webpage. We've got a lot of great live shows. There's another show coming up right after us at 11:30 to continue asking your live questions about start sits and DFS builds. All kinds of great shows. Keep an eye on and set your preferences to get notifications from Notoriety Sports Network. They go live quite a bit throughout the week with some great content and really some smash memes out there too. I dig their content. So good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Let's just hop right into it, man. Where do you want to start? We've got a pretty chalky slate. That doesn't mean it's the right chalk or it's good chalk, but there is quite a bit of chalk out there.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to spend all 8 of my lineups game stacking in different ways the Detroit Lions and Chicago Bears game. That's obviously where I'm starting.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, great. Can't wait to see your lineups and see how you do.
They're going to be wonderful. They're going to be awesome.
Yeah, man.
No, man, I pretty much I fell in love with Mike Glennon and the Jacksonville, Minnesota game stack, both sides, and I like it a lot. So kind of there. Indianapolis is somewhere where I like to be as well, and that's kind of where I started. Is just that's kind of chalk, right? Jacksonville, Minnesota. I mean, that's going to be the number one owned stack this week.
No,
you don't think so?
No. Are you being serious, or are you just? Is this a bit?
It's going to be my number one. It's going to be my
doing shtick right now? Like I don't.
Jacksonville, man. Mike Glennon. He's going to be in all my lineups.
Hey, go for it. No, I think that game stacks. You're not going to see a lot of game stacks in terms of. I don't know. There's not a lot of complete game stacks per se that look like they're going to get a lot of ownership. I mean. The LA Rams Arizona game, I think, is probably the most interesting one in terms of overall both sides, different things that you can do and get sneaky. You want to run back the Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods with a DeAndre Hopkins, but I think Andy Isabella is still very viable with Larry Fitzgerald out and still being near minimum. And then Christian Kirk, kind of the forgotten guy, but the other game stacks that I'm really looking at is that Houston. Indianapolis. I think T.Y. Hilton has a great game. Jonathan Taylor's way under owned. I can't even believe my own ownership projections here right now. I think they just haven't been updated. I have them at like 1%, which really doesn't make any sense. I guess in large part due to all the other chalky running backs right around that same price that some are bad, some are good. And, we can talk about that a little bit in length. But, of course, Brandon Cooks being the justifiably top-owned wide receiver on the slate. I mean, 5,600, going to get wide receiver 1. Not really any other proven viable targets in that offense. So,
for sure. So, just seasonal-wise, I know some people are grasping at straws, trying to finish strong in the end. And all over the boards and questions I've been asked is Kiti Kuti, Isaiah Coulter in that game. What's your take on those two guys and how it's going to shake out?
I mean, I think they're both fine. I mean, if you really need somebody, but like honestly, just why don't you just concede? If you're needing to roster one of those guys, you're probably going to lose at some point. You're not winning the championship. Just concede.
Right.
Just accept your loss. Sometimes I look at some of these teams that make it like, how did you get into this situation? How did you win games and get into this situation? Having a roster that is so bad with so little depth.
You mean my first place team with David Montgomery and David Johnson as my top 2 running backs?
Yeah. Like that doesn't make sense to me. Like, how bad are the people that you play with that like the rosters are that dispersed? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do have Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Julio Jones and James Robinson on that team. So I guess, that's probably why. But speaking of that, man, very little talk in my circles that I've been watching about Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams against Philly at the 425 game. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I really am drawn to that match. Am I just wrong, or am I just not looking in all the right places today?
Why are you drawn to it? I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers has been fantastic. I mean, I think he's trying to make a case for the MVP. So I do like Aaron Rodgers, but I don't understand, your affinity for Devontae Adams or this spot overall is just a smash spot, other than the production that Aaron Rodgers has done this year so far.
I just think the steady production from those two and the fact that they're going extremely under-owned and talked about this week.
Devontae
and
Adams,
I like the late game hammer.
Devontae Adams is slated to be the second highest owned wide receiver at 22%.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but nobody's talking about him. I don't hear anybody talking.
What do you mean they're not talking? 23%. I
don't hear anybody talk about it, man.
He's go through all these own wide receiver. How is that not talked about? Like, it doesn't matter if he's not talking about it.
It's not talked about.
It's the second highest owned wide receiver. It's
good.
You're not making a sneaky play.
I'm gonna go right with him.
Nobody's talking. Who cares? It's not sneaky. It's not like you're getting in under there. You're just joining everybody there.
That's right. I'm a joiner.
Okay. All right.
I'm a joiner and I love it.
I don't think it's a great spot. Look at the offenses or the offensive explosions that he's had so far. This year it's been against Minnesota 2 times, San Francisco with a depleted secondary at that point, and Houston, who can't stop anybody in any facet of the game, whether it be passing, rushing, anything. And the other games that Devontae played, he didn't have a very good game against Jacksonville, didn't have one against Chicago. I don't hate the play, but at 22% and a wide receiver at 9,000, I'm probably not going to have a ton of exposure to him.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
I like it anyways. So when is Jacksonville going to give up and put our boy Minshew back in? That's the really pressing question. I
don't think they will. I don't think Chuck likes him. I don't think he's going to be back. He's done.
It's so sad.
Plus, he's hurt, so
I know, but I want him to come back in a blaze of glory so we can get our mustache game back going, and it's just disappointing me. Yeah. All right. So from our show Wednesday night, which by the way will now be Tuesday nights on the Notoriety Sports Network here and Draft for Upside's Facebook page, of course. We talked every game pretty much. We broke them all down. What opinions have changed since then?
I mean, I don't even remember some of my opinions then. I mean, it's a first glance. We had the forgotten show that we couldn't upgrade or upload from Friday night. Me and Danger got on. I was a little bit tipsy.
That was pretty funny
to do the tipsy picks, but
we could go over those tipsy picks again if you want.
I think some of the tipsy picks. I don't even remember the tipsy picks, to be quite honest with you. But when we look at kind of just the slate as a whole, there are a couple running backs that are just commanding a ton of ownership. You've got Austin Eckler over 30%, Devontae Booker over 30%, Myles Gaskin, David Montgomery, and James Robinson all around 25% or higher. Out of that group of running backs, I think maybe the bottom 3 are playable, Gaskin, Montgomery, and Robinson. But the more I looked at Devontae Booker, the more other people urged me to look at Devontae Booker, the less I liked him, especially at 30%. Austin Eckler was a guy that I thought was a little bit too expensive. I think people are overreacting a little bit to a ceiling target game while it's still viable. And then with Keelan Ballage coming back, you just have to wonder, is Eckler going to get the same type of usage and have the same type of role as last week? I think it's going to be diminished, not only because that week was an outlier in the sense that it was closer towards the ceiling game, But now you're going to have more people there taking a couple extra touches away, and he's not going to get all the touches in the first place. So I just have a hard time looking at Austin Eckler in this matchup as a guy at 30% that I want to put on my roster. And Devontae Booker, the Jets are, as bad as they are, they've actually been decent against the run, and that defense is just really bad against the pass. So,
well, we do have
fire up Derek Carr, baby.
I do have to say, before we move on from that discussion, we do have a friend about to join the show who is our resident New York Jets expert. So let's bring in Lou Landers and have him talk about how he feels about Devontae Booker and Frank Gore.
I don't like the Jets. I like nothing about the Jets ever.
I don't know, man. I mean, you sold us pretty hard on Le'Veon Bell earlier in the season. Just saying.
Do you guys watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Oh man, we're having audio problems, Lou.
Do you guys watch Curb Your Enthusiasm at all?
No,
can't say that I have.
Well, then my Jets joke isn't going to go over, so just move on.
Move along. Are you going to play Devontae Booker this week?
A little bit. I prefer Montgomery at the same price.
All right. Yeah, we were just kind of talking about those guys at the top. I don't know. I kind of fell out of love with the guys on the top. I mean, Cook's great. He's just super expensive. Henry, same problem. I kind of ended up focusing in on like the Chris Carson and Kenyon Drake, kind of that low 6, high 5,000 range. I don't know. I just feel like this Drake game is going to be a good game for Drake.
I actually do have a lineup with Henry and Cook in it because I have Glennon at quarterback in one lineup, 4,800.
Yeah, that's dangerous, guy. I mean, look, here are kind of the challenges I have with some of these guys. So in David Montgomery's case, he does have a really legitimate floor as being the only running back in that entire offense. Now, Detroit has this reputation, and the stats back it up, of being a bad team against running backs. However, if you dig a little bit deeper, the running backs that really have contributed to that stat have been Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, and Dalvin Cook, just absolutely running it up on Detroit. Outside of those three running backs, they really haven't had anybody really torch them for a lot of yards or touchdowns. It's just basically those three games. So, I don't look at David Montgomery in a smash must-play spot. I think he has a real floor. Devontae Booker, he had that one good game that was an outlier with Josh Jacobs there that I think is kind of propelling people to think that playing against the Jets, this is going to be a situation to play him. The Jets, again, have been really good against the run and just bad against the pass. So I like the Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Nelson Aguilar, using that as kind of leverage off of Booker. And then, when we get to like Chris Carson and Kenyon Drake, Drake's super low owned, but that's partially because this Rams team is good against the run. They have not allowed, I think, more than 18 points against opposing running backs in almost all, if not all, of their games. And Chris Carson, like, while I love him and he comes out really well in my model, it's just my challenge is the guy just doesn't get the touches. I mean, he's been able to produce with limited touches. It's just a matter of how many of those touches is he going to get. If you told me he was going to get 15 to 20, then I'm absolutely all in on him. But there
is a chance Hyde doesn't play and Homer's ruled out. So, I mean, there's a shot.
No, I'm pretty sure Hyde is going to play. I'm almost positive I saw that. And so, yeah, I wouldn't play Carson in cash. I have no problem with him as a GPP play. Like I said, he grades out really high in my model, median projections. But I can just see a game where he gets like 8 carries and 4 targets and, just really underperforms.
It's possible. We do have a question here. I'll pop it up there. Who is this week's Tyreek Hill? I need that 69 points in my lineup.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I knew that.
Danny Amendola. That's the guy.
It's not Danny Amendola. Like, don't play Danny Amendola. Like, danger. Seriously, take him out of your lineups, dude. Like, Mohamed Sanu is a better play than Danny Amendola.
I don't think he's getting 69 points, but I do like Justin Jefferson again. I like the upside at least. He's a guy that I think can get multiple touchdowns and top that like 150 yards because of the playability. I also think that DJ Chark is either going to be a 3-point guy or like a 35-point guy today.
Yeah, if you read the Tipsy Pick article, and if you're not a subscriber and you didn't, and since we weren't able to post the forgotten video, the lost tapes that we're going to call them in our archives, one day we'll clip it all together. Danger made a pretty strong, really strong case for DJ Chark. Go ahead, Danger.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. So I was a little tipsy with you. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So
while he's doing that, I will touch on something that was posted on Twitter. I put it in the chat. Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, or Cook. You got to have one of them in your lineup. Almost every week, one of them has scored 30 points or more. I think there's one exception, or it's high 20s. So really, one of these guys needs to be in your lineup. The problem is that they're all so expensive now that you really can't put two of them, despite any type of correlations they may or may not have had earlier in the season. I think it's just kind of stick one of those in your lineup if you can.
For sure. All right, we got another quick question here coming over on Facebook from our Draft for Upside Facebook page. Move up $100 to Gallman or $200 to Taylor from Booker?
I'd rather Taylor.
I like Taylor a lot. I mean, if you look at the games that Taylor has done well in the type of running backs that they struggle against, Taylor, I don't know why he's so low owned. I don't know if that's going to stay accurate, but I'm a big fan of Taylor this week.
I think any running back against the Texans, if you think they're going to get at least a 60% snap share in the backfield, is probably a good play at some point. Price obviously is determined, but he's not overly expensive.
Well, and the big thing is that if you look at Taylor, just some of the ownership projections are just outrageously low right now. I mean, we're talking sub 5%.
I'm going to have to adjust some things possibly too. I only have one share right now. Has it been confirmed, by the way? Do you guys know if Tua is going to be starting? Because if so, I got to get all my Devontae Parker shares out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys talked about it because I did show up a little late. But folks, if you heard any of my shows when I was on Devontae Parker this week, get him out of your lineup if it's Tua. No value in the Miami pass catchers, in my opinion, with Tua.
No, I agree. I wrote up Gesicki as an option, as a one-off. I like Parker as well. Tua in there. I think Gaskin's the only play that you could put in that Dolphins lineup. I still think the defense is in a good spot, and I like the under on that game a lot more now.
All right, so I pulled up that tipsy pick argument for. I said, let's see. Vikings have given up big numbers to big-time receivers, and what I mean by big is the actual size, man. I mean, this is what I found in the breakdown. This is how deep the tipsy picks go, man. The Vikings giving up to large receivers, like physically large receivers. Devontae Adams in 2 games, 6'1", 215 pounds, 21 catches, 209 yards, 5 touchdowns. Will Fuller, 6 foot, 184 pounds, 6 catches, 108 yards, and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 6'4", 230, 9 catches, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julio Jones, 6'3", 220, 8 catches, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, 6'1", 211, 6 catches, 81 yards, and Robbie Anderson, which was a shock. I didn't know Robbie Anderson was 6'3", 190 pounds, 4 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. So, man, my boy DJ Chark, 6'4", 198 pounds. I'm calling 7 catches, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. What do you think of that, Lou?
I love Chark, and I like the price, and especially in the one lineup, I'm going to use Mike Glennon. I mean, there's no other guy, unless I really want to get cute and roll out a $3,000 Tyler Eifert.
Now, I'm 6'4",
not be crazy
like
in GPP.
Right. Now, I'm 6'4", 220. Do you think I could succeed against the Vikings defense?
No, I don't.
Fair.
I don't think you could. I don't think I could. I don't think Emmerich could. Maybe if Mark was here.
I don't even think you get off the line, Danger. I think you'd just be pushed around.
No, it's true. It's true. I played a little tight end back in the day, but I was a quarterback. But hey, that didn't work out for me. I didn't like getting my my block just knocked off. I didn't care for that.
Fair enough.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Let's get in some deep values. We talked about a few guys on our Tipsy Pick show. Anybody make it into your actual lineups here? Just like deep beaten off the beaten path guys, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I played a little bit of Isaiah Coulter, like by a little bit. I mean, I have one lineup with Coulter. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Lou, any deep value guys that you found into your lineups?
Not that deep. No, I'm not nearly smart enough, like Chris is, to get something like that. I mean, I have some, Perriman because he's cheap, but he's not deep. I told you I'm going to use Eifert once. I have some cheaper guys, but nothing that's going to shock anybody, I don't think.
Yeah, I actually like Eifert, but I think I ended up with a lot more Ferkster than I thought I would, just because of the price and the opportunity there. Although I do like Adam Humphries.
It's hard to get away from Ferkster, but I mean, it's easy to move over to Atkins and just like one of the two of those guys, or maybe like a TJ Hawkinson, are kind of the three tight ends that I ended up with the most and primarily, and didn't really want to look many other places to be.
I like Hooper a little bit as well. I was on Tanyan, not anymore. I do have one Packers stack with a Rodgers, Adams, Tanyan. And then all other lineups I have Aaron Jones instead, because that's how I roll with it. I figure that if I know that if I don't do both, then one will go off and the other one won't. So at least I'll be covered, at least in one of the many lineups. I don't play the cash games. So for me, it's go big or go home.
Yeah, I think the issue I had with Hooper is that I'm going to play a lot of Nick Chubb. I think, given his price, given the situation, given everything else in the slate, I think he's probably my favorite running back.
I think hands down he should be so much cheaper than Henry and Cook in retrospect, and has just as good a chance for a huge game.
Yeah, I think he's gotten over 100 yards in his last
Yeah, he's been back. I talked about him. I talked about him on my Tuesday show. I believe last 3 games, no less than 114 rushing yards.
It's in his last 5. I mean, well, the one game where he got hurt, that's 14 snaps. But I mean,
even better, yeah.
And then I mean, I think if you date back to last year and you start looking at all of his games, there's only just a handful of games that he started and finished that he didn't have 100 yards. And so if you look at kind of him and that offense and who works in that offense when he's working, there's just not a lot of people. I mean, basically he negatively correlates with just about everybody except for Kareem Hunt. And I mean, Baker Mayfield's kind of even. So, it's hard because the dynamic of that offense is a little bit different than what it has been with no Odell Beckham. And so without having Beckham, does some of that go towards Landry? And then some of those games with the bad weather really are going to affect it as well. Again, the context, some of these correlations, some of these stats, you do need to kind of take a look back, and it's just such a small sample size that you have to make some leaps of faith.
I mean, I find myself with one lineup with Chubb and Hunt in it. I don't mind that.
Is it a cash or is it tourney?
No, it's a GPP.
I mean, they both might get the work. My only concern would be if the Titans put up points early and take a lead, and then you're really banking on the fact that the Browns are going to continue to run, even though obviously both are involved in the passing game, Hunt a little more. I think that you get game scripted out by using both those guys.
I mean, I don't know if you can read the sign behind me here, but oops, going the wrong way. It's kind of hard to read, but it says Browns win. Not only +6, but they win. So I ain't worried about it, bro.
Hey, if you believe the Browns are going to win the game, then more power to you. I would take if you're that confident, bet the Browns money line. It's got to be some good odds. I think they're 5.5, 6-point dogs.
Mm-hmm. True story. All right, one of the things that we have gotten in the habit of talking about Sunday mornings as well is our take on the DFS defenses this week. I found myself quite a bit of Indianapolis, Miami if you can pay up for it, but it's pretty expensive. And then there's 3 of them that tend to be, or 2 of them that are very high owned, at least last time I looked, right at the bottom of the barrel at 2,400. I believe it was the Falcons, and who else was down there? I just lost my page. My bad. Great radio.
Well, I'll step in and just tell you I have a lot of Packers, I have Bears, and I have a little bit of Chargers.
I had moved off my page to look at wide receivers, and
Yeah, I mean,
Atlanta
for me,
Falcons and the Patriots at 2.4, and then the Lions at 2.5. See a lot of love for those.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Lions play is puzzling. I mean, I get it. You're going against Trubisky. You're going against a Chicago team that's on a real skid. But, I mean, for a defense to score points, they need to either sack the quarterback or they need to get a turnover into the end zone or maybe have some type of good special teams return. Detroit doesn't check any of those boxes, not even one of them.
I have a lot more faith using a Trubisky Robinson stack than I do using the Lions defense.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is one of your look. Green Bay's running rush defense is terrible, but what's really bad is Philly protecting the quarterback. We've talked about it at length. I think Carson Wentz has been sacked like 45.
He leads the league in sacks and turnovers, I think.
They got 19 interceptions.
I think it's 15 interceptions, sacked 47 times. He's off target 25% of the time. They're forcing a lot of plays. You know, Green Bay is one of the better teams at scoring on the first drive in the game. And so, you know, if you can get a lead to start the game, you're going to force Carson Wentz's hand, or you're going to get Jalen Hurts, who's just not good. And is not a pro quarterback and probably never will be. And maybe I'm wrong there, but
it's freezing cold today in Green Bay, by the way, as well. It's like 30 degrees.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that's a good play. I think the Miami play is fantastic. I don't care that, like, obviously Tua playing doesn't make a difference on the defense, but Brandon Allen's no good. Miami's pass defense has been phenomenal, and Gio Bernard doesn't scare anybody on the ground. You know, if Miami has a weakness, that would be it.
Yeah, I do find myself with a little bit of Atlanta when I need to save the money, but I'm basically playing Indianapolis, I'm playing Green Bay, I'm playing Miami.
And that's, you know, Atlanta. Like, I get it. Taysom Hill's not exciting, but I don't see them fumbling the ball a ton, and they're not passing it, so they're not, especially not deep. So I don't think there's a lot of interceptions there, and I don't think you're going to get a lot of sacks of Taysom Hill. He's a little bit too fleet of foot. So,
and he's a big dude too.
Yeah, I like the other side of that. I like New Orleans. That's a lights out defense. Matt Ryan has not been playing well. It's a banged up wide receiving core. You never know, even if they all play. What are they going to all finish? I mean, you could feasibly run out that defense against Russell Gage and the big OZ as the 1 and 2 wide receivers if Ridley and Julio get hurt mid-game and, you know, they're banged up. So it's a possibility. We don't want to assume that, but, you know, those are very real possibilities as well.
I think Packers are I think you mentioned, Chris, and it's the first team I looked at and probably the one I'll have most ownership of if I want to pay up. Middle of the pack, I think I mentioned the Bears just because they can make plays defensively. They can score touchdowns after the quarterback. Cordell Patterson could always run something back. You never know. And then my cheapest would be, again, the Chargers because Cam has turned the ball over a lot, thrown more interceptions than he has touchdowns. And Joey Bosa has been kind of hot lately, and he himself can kind of turn the game on its head at any moment. So 2,600, if you want to keep it cheap, I kind of like the Chargers.
Yeah, not bad. The two highest owned, according to my projections at the moment, are the Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks. I could never bring myself to play a Seahawks defense. Just can't do it.
They've been playing better recently. I mean, the concern I would have is I don't believe Carlos Dunlap is going to be playing, and so that's going to limit their pass rush. But, you know, you're playing Colt McCoy. I think that's the allure to that one. Colt McCoy and Wayne Gallman, you know, is that backfield. So,
yeah. I'm digging. All right, let's take a very quick break here, guys. If you are burnt out on DFS, if you're not playing DraftKings or FanDuel, or you're done and you're not going to tinker like we do all the way up to the very last minute, there is another game that we do enjoy playing over here. And let me pull up my banner here. And it is a place called prizepicks.com. Go over there, check it out. It is a game where you're only playing against the NFL projections. They're very similar to like a Yahoo Standard League or DraftKings scoring. They give you projections of a handful of players, and you just simply select 2, 3, 4 of those players and choose whether they are going to go over or under their projections. And they're pretty basic median projections, and we like to go over a few of those. And if you'd like to join us, I'll throw out the options and you can join us in picking over or under. And if you are not a member of prizepicks.com, please go over, check it out. Sign up, use promo code Blueprint, and you will get 100% deposit on your first, up to your first $100. And that is a bonus you can use immediately. You can use that whole $100 on your first bet. It doesn't trickle out like some of the other sites. Lou, have you played any Prize Picks?
I played vicariously through you, man. That's it.
Yeah. Well, you helped me really nail the pitcher stuff, so I can't wait for baseball to start back up again. So we
changed it on us. They changed it up on us eventually, right? We were.
They did.
I feel like we were taking advantage of it before they caught on to how easy they were making it for pitchers.
Well, hopefully they don't make too many adjustments. All right, let's go through this. That's an interesting one here. A hot topic of the week: Alvin Kamara at 14.9%. Now, I did find him into a lineup or two of mine, Chris, just because of the ownership and price. But what do you think about this raw projection of 14.9 points, over or under?
I mean, give me a second.
I'll go under. He's not getting fed the football via the air at all. 3 targets.
I'm going to go over. Again, it's just I lean that I'm just not – I wouldn't be surprised if the entire offense ran through Alvin Kamara this week after not for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and in DFS, I think a GPP play, definitely toss him in there and just take the shot that they overcorrect his usage this week. So, but I'm with Lou. I think if I'm just looking at projections and the likelihood, I think the last 2 weeks are more of a norm in this offense than an outlier. So I'm going to go under 14.9 points for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, and Taysom Hill's run offense. If it was Breeze, I would be going over. I think he could just get 14 points through the air. Forget about via the run.
All right, let's look over at the quarterback change. We were excited about Fitzpatrick, but it is now Tua officially in. So Devontae Parker, 15.5. Is this a smash under?
Way under.
It's just such a stupid move for them to play Tua like right now. It's just
they're in contention. I don't know what they're doing.
This Cincinnati secondary, I mean, the last 2 weeks they gave up like 30 points to wide receivers because of the Giants and Washington. But before that, 77, 44, 45, 42, 27, 60, 30. Like, this is such a smash spot if Fitzpatrick was out there. But, yeah, I'm just going to go with the under.
Got to go under Devontae Parker, 15.5. Let's take a look at A.J. Brown. I mean, obviously Adam Humphries is going to take all the targets. So 16.4 for A.J. Brown is definitely an under for me.
Yeah, I'll take the under. I like AJ this week, but I like him in GPPs. I have him slightly under that.
I'll go under too. I think with Humphreys back, obviously with the 2 tight ends, with Corey Davis and Derrick Henry, there's so many targets to go around. Brown's going to need one of those like 60-yard touchdowns to top.
There's only 1 tight end this week though.
Oh yeah, it's just Firkser. Yeah.
All right, let's move along. David Montgomery, 16 points against Detroit. David Montgomery. I'm going to go over. I think that they just feed him the rock.
I think it's under. I mean, I think his floor is pretty close to like 12, 13, 14. I don't know, man. I think it's under. I think he's going to.
I meant to ask, by the way, is it PPR? Is that
yes,
how
sir.
It works, or is it half? Okay.
PPR.
I'll take the over, but I think it barely makes it.
Barely makes it. All right, let's scroll down, see what else we got here. How about Marvin Jones, 12.6 on the other side of that ball?
I'll take the under.
I got to take the under. I think Stafford's thumb's just not right, so they're not good. All right, let's see. Any more interesting ones in here? How about a guy we haven't really talked about at all? DeAndre Hopkins, 16.5 versus the Rams.
I'm going under.
Yeah, I think this is an under week for him. I think some other guys in that offense are going to, benefit from it, like Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella. But I think Hopkins scores around 14, I think would be my prediction.
All right, and let's finish it off with Austin Eckler, 17.4. Getting a lot of love in the lineup projections.
I'm going to go over. I like it. I like Eckler a lot from a just pure production offense kind of running through him. Obviously, Herbert loves to throw the football, but Eckler's going to make a lot of those catches too. I think he ended up with something like 7 catches for like 60 yards and a touchdown, and then another 50 to 60 rushing yards.
Chris?
Under.
I'm with Lou. I think it's an over there. All right. Well, appreciate it, guys. Check out prizepicks.com. I do write articles breaking down the single game showdowns for that. If you check out our premium content at fantasyblueprint.com, fantasyfootballblueprint.com, you will find all of our premium stuff in there. We've got all kinds of great articles on FanDuel building, DraftKings building, tipsy picks for when you're just drunk enough to go off the beaten path. All kinds of great content there, including my breakdowns of the prizepicks.com game. And don't forget to use promo code Blueprint when you sign up for a 100% deposit match up to your first $100. Ooh. All right, Lou, anybody that you are surprised on the ownership after looking through the lineups you've built so far? How much that you have owned them?
Not anymore. I had a lot of Devontae Parker, like tons of Devontae Parker. I have 4 lineups on DraftKings and 4 on Yahoo, and I had Parker, and I think 75% of them. At this point, no. I mean, I have a lot of Nick Chubb, but I'm not surprised by it.
You know, going back to a question earlier, who's going to score the 69 points? Like, nobody. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But one guy that has a capability of 40, 50 points just on a weekly basis at this point, and this is probably the lowest ownership that you might ever see on this guy again at his price. DK Metcalf is only coming in or under 15% owned. The Giants aren't particularly good against wide receivers. They're not atrocious, but I don't know. I kind of like that little ownership clip there. Him and Allen Robinson are the 2 guys. If you're not going to play Montgomery, I think part of what my article was is like looking at some of these guys that were highly projected in terms of going to be the chalk today and some of the options that you have to leverage off of them and why they're good picks. Allen Robinson is going to play, and I just think that this Lions secondary at this point is just absolutely in shambles. They're terrible. They're bad. I think they'll probably feel a lot better today until Allen Robinson starts lighting them up.
Yes, love Robinson.
I mean, there's another guy around there too. I mean, Michael Thomas. We haven't really talked about him. I mean, as much as you can say that Alvin Kamara isn't involved in this offense, we've seen Michael Thomas, both be involved and not be involved, and that's partially why his prices remain kind of steady at that 7K mark. And now you're getting around 10% ownership. Everybody in that kind of wide receiver range, that 7,000. Is really interesting from Michael Thomas, Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen, DK Metcalf, and even if you go down a little bit, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, who are going to be more like a little bit higher than 15%. These are all really, really good plays, and to danger to your point that we talked about earlier, not to just completely be off the rails here, but that's kind of why I'm not interested in Devontae Adams, is they're just better plays, in my opinion, than Devontae that can outproduce him on a regular basis at a lower price.
Yeah, I have no Adams on DraftKings because of its price. On Yahoo, he's not as overly crazy expensive. Same with Metcalf. I don't actually have as much Metcalf on DK. I have him on Yahoo. I have Lockett on DraftKings, who I think arguably could be just as he could have a game where he has 153, and he can have a game that gets 6 points.
Also, our partner over at fantasyfootballblueprint.com, Reginald, has just said that he added Lockett to his morning update of favorite plays.
Okay, well, Reginald and I are seeing eye to eye on Lockett.
How do you feel about T.Y. Hilton, Lou?
Yeah, right. No, I actually do have. I have Michael Pittman, but I don't have any Hilton at this point.
I mean, Hilton coming off his best game of the year. He historically torches Houston, especially in Houston. So, if T.Y. Hilton's going to make his grandma proud this year, this is kind of the game.
I do want to mention, guys, that our show is over in about 15 minutes. But if you're still building lineups, if you're still trying to sort it through, we do have Dylan and Levon coming up after us on the Notoriety Sports Network, which we are simulcasting on with Draft for Upside and FantasyFootballBlueprint.com right now. So stay tuned to the Notoriety Sports Network Facebook live feed, and they will take you from 11:30 right up to game time to finish any of your last-minute questions and breaking news updates.
Got another point on Allen Robinson. I went back to my notes from earlier in the week. 3 of his 4 highest targeted games this year have come with Trubisky at quarterback, for what it's worth.
Well, if you're counting the Atlanta game, you really can't. So you'd have to say half. I suspect you are.
Could be. All right. Well, man, I think I've covered most of the things that I wanted to go at. Any final parting thoughts here? You don't like the game stacks this week, so are you just doing mostly your quarterback plays with their favorite receiver and doing a quick run back, or are you just kind of taking the guys you think have the best median to upside? What are you doing this week?
Well, I did find myself playing a lot of Derek Carr. Just
bounce back week, baby.
Just going to continue to do this to myself week in and week out for those new viewers of ours. I write up Derek Carr every week. I play him every week, and I usually go to bed around 4 in the afternoon, sad, little buzz, sometimes sick to my stomach. I don't know. Doing it again. I don't feel good about it. I'm just not happy. Like, it just fucking checks all the boxes every single time. Other than being good. That's the one box that he doesn't check is that he's a bad quarterback. But price, situation, everything else, it just is like, yeah, let's play Derek Carr. If anybody is going to save me, it's going to be my longtime hero, Kirk Cousins. And in a situation with Kirk Cousins, as I've already previously discussed, the pricing on Jefferson, Thielen, and Cook, it's just too much to put 2 of them in one lineup. So that's kind of why I might run a couple lineups with Thielen, a couple with Jefferson, run it back with Chark, and maybe even do some Cook Chark, and just get a lot of exposure to that game and hope that both of you are able to somewhat fall into a 3x Mike Glennon game, because he's certainly not going to get you much more than that.
Yeah, I've got at least one of those 3 players from Vikings in every lineup. I just can't get away from it. You're completely right.
I have more Jefferson than I do Thielen. I definitely have some Cousins. One game that I think I have not heard a lot of people be talking about, or at least a stack, and it could just be because I'm not paying enough attention, but I have a Rams stack with Goff, Kupp, and Woods. I think they're going to be throwing a lot. I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game. And I actually didn't even realize I do have T.Y. Hilton in that lineup, Chris, just for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is going to be highly owned. Cooper, it's just a matter of whether Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are going to be owned together, but they're going to be the 3rd and 4th highest owned wide receivers. They're both going to be in the top 5. So
yeah, my concern with Kupp is not finding the end zone. It kind of limits the upside. Woods, on the other hand, is finding the end zone. Like, if I'm picking just one of them, I prefer Woods because of the touchdowns and because he's a couple $100 cheaper. But in this scenario, I'm just going to use them both and say, Goff, throw the ball as often as possible to those 2 and no one else.
Yeah, the interesting thing was earlier in the year, they didn't really correlate so well together, but, they've had a couple good games together. I think it's just like that one game that really blew that correlation up. I mean, when you look at Kupp, one of the things that I've looked for is for him to be super effective, have these blow-up games. They were games that they were trailing in, that they were behind. The Dolphins game, they lost. They were behind 20 targets. The Bills, they were down big, 10 targets. He needs that kind of extreme target situation to get there, because you're right, he's not finding the end zone. And if he's not finding the end zone, he needs the 10 points from receptions, the 100 yards, and the 3-point bonus. So And they very well could fall behind in this game. So I think it's definitely a place where we can do that.
You're hoping Kyler Murray bounces back from a couple slower performances to big-time points, so that you have to.
Yeah, and I think Kyler Murray, when you get a team that can put pressure on him, I think that's going to force him to run in undesigned situations, and that's going to increase his rushing potential. And I think that's part of another reason. One guy that we haven't talked about, we've talked about the game, but Deshaun Watson's a great play. I think he's going to be one of the highest owned quarterbacks, but as with anything, quarterbacks have really not been more owned than 10-15% this year, so really doesn't even move the needle for me. But there's not a lot of guys for him to throw to. And if Cooks can't get open and some of these other guys can't get open, he's going to run. Like David Johnson's not going to do it. Duke Johnson had a, gravy matchup last week against Detroit. And what did he put up? Like 30 yards on like 15 carries,
I think Watson's a great play almost every week because of, I guess, obviously his skill set. But you're right, with no Fuller now, obviously it makes Cooks interesting because he's going to get the looks, but are they going to let Cooks beat them? If I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm saying hell no. Anyone else but Cooks.
Yeah, I don't care. Cooks at 5,600 is going to get 10, 15 targets. I'll play him.
And he's worth it. Yeah, for sure. I have him too.
Even if he's double covered, he's going to get 5 or 6 catches. He's going to get some, design screens, and he's just almost as close to a lock as it was. Being the highest owned wide receiver, he was in my write-up. But I think I was just like, hey, look, dude, you can add to him. You don't need to leverage off of this guy. I don't care if he's 40% owned. At this price, he's very playable. If he got into the 80 or 90, we could definitely talk about fading him.
I actually might like him more without Watson.
Sure. You don't need to. Yeah. When it comes down to it, when you have these situations where you think a team's going to lose, and I know, let's, for example, say Danger thinks Indianapolis is going to win this game. And if you think the quarterback's going to have a bad game, it's an interesting play to play their number one wide receiver, regardless of this game, or it could be any other game. So a perfect example would have been last week, Atlanta. Matt Ryan struggles without Julio Jones, but he's still going to throw for 150, 200 yards. It's not going to get you there for your Matt Ryan ownership, but if 125 or 150 of those 200 yards goes to Calvin Ridley, Calvin Ridley's still a wide receiver, and he's not going to be as high owned because people are going to be low on the quarterback projection, but the points are not equal in that sense. It's just some game theory.
Yeah, we've had a couple of big wide receivers go off when we're playing their defenses. It's happened. All right, man. I don't have anything else. You guys want to cover anything else? I'm good. I got to go tinker my lineup success away.
Look, I saw your lineups, dude. Definitely. I'm going to promote that you definitely need to be.
Those are my troll Chris Emmerich lineups.
Yeah, those aren't the real lineups. Those are the lineups he sends on WhatsApp just to get your blood boiling.
That's right.
That's not true. Have you seen the lineups that he plays? Like, those are his lineups, man. Those are legitimately his lineups.
Well, one day everything he does is going to hit, and he's going to win like $10 million.
I like it. One of these days.
It might take another 20 years, but it will happen.
Yeah, that's because all those contests are like free and dime contests, dude. So like it just happens.
I won one of those contests, like one of those free contests that you win like $100. It was like 2-3 years ago. And I think I don't think I even played the lineup in a paid lineup, and it was baseball. And it just made me sick to my stomach because I would have won 100,000. Like if I played it in the big GPP.
Oh, never look, man. Never look. If you win a free contest, never look to see what I would have done elsewhere.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. I still remember it. I think I played like Mike Clevenger. I think I had just come in from mowing the grass. It was a warm late summer evening in Florida.
I dig it. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Again, I'm Johnny Danger, Chris Emmerich, Lou Landers joined us. We are Draft for Upside. You can catch our regular show at Tuesday nights from, I don't know why it says 7:30, but it's 7 to 9. Right back here, you can catch us live on our Facebook page, on the fantasyfootballblueprint.com fantasy football page, which all of our premium content is on. And, of course, our new partners at Notoriety Sports Network. I really appreciate y'all. Please stay tuned. Notoriety Sports Network will continue with their morning show with Devin and Levon from 11:30 right up to game time for breaking news and last-minute adjustments to your lineups. And check out all the rest of their content. Give their page a like, follow along, and we will see you guys Tuesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Peace out.